Yoshikage Kira is one of the greatest villains in modern anime manga, and the reason why is because Kira is human. One of the biggest things that we are desensitized to in modern anime manga is the antagonist, or should I say, a relatable antagonist. Many of the villains today are often these big brutes, mythical beasts, or others of this effect that have this crazy power that only them or the protagonist can wield, or something of that sort. The main goal of these authors and these villains is less of trying to pose a difference of ideals, difference of relatability, and more of the stereotypical video game-esque big bad final bosses, like a Bowser, Dr. Eggman, stuff like that. This entire perspective is flipped when you see Yoshikage Kira. Unlike the villains, Dio, Cars and the Pillarmen, and such before him, he is not actively trying to spread evil just for the sake of being evil, nor are his day-to-day activities lead him into direct confrontation with the main characters. He is not the cartoonishly evil villain. This is complemented by the nature of Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable. Instead of this being a big epic around the world like Part 3 or Part 2 with the lives of everyone on the line like Part 1, it's a more toned down story of a bunch of high school kids and another Chad just trying to navigate through this new world of abilities that was forced upon them and other residents of Moria. His character is realistic because while some people in Moria choose to use their powers for good, self-defense, etc., others choose to use it for their own selfish means and goals. This is similar would be happening, if our society got stands. That would be kind of how it will go. Not everybody is going to be using it for alt-right good. Not everyone is going to be using it for alt-right evil. It's just going to be, some people might just use it for their own means, their own gains. By Yoshikage Kira's own words, my name is Yoshikage Kira. I'm 33 years old. My house is in the northeast section of Moria where all the villas are, and I am not married. I work as an employee for the Kame-yu department stores, and I get home every day by 8 p.m. at the latest. I don't smoke, but I occasionally drink. I'm in bed by 11 p.m. to make sure I get 8 hours of sleep, no matter what. After having a glass of warm milk and doing about 20 minutes of stretches before going to bed, I usually have no problems sleeping until morning, just like a baby. I wake up without any fatigue or stress in the morning. I was told that there are no issues at my last checkup. I'm trying to explain that I'm a person who wishes to live a very quiet life. I take care not to trouble myself with any enemies, like winning and losing. That would cause me to lose sleep at night. That is how I deal with society, and I know that is what brings me happiness. Although, if I were to fight, I would not lose to anyone. That right there, that speech is genius. That speech is genius. First, let's talk about the anonymity surrounding the character of Kira throughout the entire series, or Part 4. We are shown at the very beginning of the part a little teaser, a little taste to the final villain. And after that, he is rarely spoken about, not even seen for the majority of the show until we actually see him during that confrontation with Shigechi. And he's talked about from the notes, of course. The way he describes himself, you could honestly say that about anybody. And that was what one of his strengths was, that he could have been anybody. This is further emphasized with how he is dressed. A casual suit, really dressed up, being less subtle than a majority of these other JoJo counterparts. Another point is his proof of being human. He says this speech to try and prove the point that he is no different from me, you, anybody else. Again, barred from his one specific hobby, This shows both normalcy and relatability for the character. His stand abilities are less going out to do evil and more trying to protect and maintain his quiet life. But we'll talk about his stand abilities later. Kira just isn't this slate of hard ideals and evilness. He has emotions, his controversial, arguable love for Shinobu. He has a schedule, he has a job, he has a family. We get to see some of the story from his perspective and not just one or two backstories that we normally see with other villains of the same genre. We get to see his perspective, his outlook on life. I feel that all of this culminates into Kira's main philosophy, which is, why be the best when you can be the second best? It's interesting because Kira never likes the challenge. He always engages in things that he knows he could win. When it comes down to it, Kira is a serial killer. And as he became better and better at the art of killing, the easier he knew what to and what not to engage in. Because again, he is not in it for the thrill, nor to crush his enemies. He does what he needs to do. He does what he does in order to satiate that hunger that is gnawing inside him. He doesn't fight because he wants to, but because he has to. This is proven with every fight against Kira in Part 4, bar the fight against Sheer Heart Attack, which again was still just him trying to protect his identity. It was never initiated by him. All this combined with him just being an interesting character. His personality, his quotes, is just icing on the cake. Now let's talk about his stand real quick and why it's so great. His stand isn't really anything out of the ordinary for JoJo's stand. His stand isn't really the strongest up close. He can easily be caught off guard from afar. There are lots of prerequisites that go into using any of his abilities. And this just culminates into Killer Queen just being an alright stand. The greatness of the stand, though, comes into play of how he uses it. When fighting Kira, it's more of playing chess, not checkers. Kira always calculates his kill to a T, so that he ensures that nothing goes wrong, bold and calculated, which then leads into his confidence, referencing from the speech earlier that he said. Before this part, the earlier parts, part 1, 2, and 3, were mostly who could punch the hardest, who was the fastest, who had the most broken ability, and I feel like Kira added this level of strategy to JoJo fights that you really don't see anywhere else, and is utilized more in the later parts of JoJo's. Even the nature of his stand abilities are still centered around his personality. Many of his abilities really aren't to engage with the enemy. It's not really to go on the offensive, but it's really like defensive mechanisms more so. Kira is always sure to engage on his own terms, not just to fight out of the blue. And I feel that really all of this creates like such an amazing antagonist that Kira is. One of the better antagonists of modern anime. And yeah, I kind of, so that everyone watches JoJo's and appreciates the beauty that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. That's about it. If you enjoy what I said, be sure to subscribe. I did another video about a black representation anime, which I thought was pretty good. If you don't like what I had to say, don't subscribe, dislike it. Comment down below what you think about Kira. And I still think Kira is still a pretty good villain. I still actually prefer Dio over Kira, but that's probably a video for another time. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.